The government nearly failed to honor this soldier. Then bikers stepped in and created a movement. Before we dive into this incredible story, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. Your support means the world to us and is the only way we can ensure that the stories of brave souls, who often remain unheard, reach more people. It helps us continue our mission. So please hit that subscribe button now. In a quiet town where the sun sets behind aged oak trees, a profound silence hung in the air. A soldier, once vibrant and full of dreams, now stood on the brink of being forgotten. He had fought valiantly, his spirit unwavering even in the darkest of battles, yet the government seemed ready to overlook his sacrifice. As whispers of neglect spread, hope began to fade. But out of this despair, an unexpected force was rising, fueled by the rumbling of motorcycle engines and the fierce loyalty of a brotherhood ready to ignite a movement. As news of Private Jonathan Hayes' passing spread through the small town of Maplewood, a heaviness settled over its streets. The local diner, usually bustling with laughter and chatter, fell into an eerie silence. Patrons sat in their booths, eyes downcast, murmuring among themselves. The flickering neon sign outside cast shadows on their faces, reflecting a community torn between grief and outrage. "He deserves a proper send-off," grumbled old man Jenkins, his voice thick with emotion as he stirred his cold coffee absent-mindedly. "After everything he did, this is how they repay him?" The waitress, a young woman named Lucy, nodded solemnly. "I heard they're not even giving him military honors. It's just not right. He fought for us and now, nothing?" Across the room, a group of veterans sat together, their faces etched with lines of experience and sorrow. Tom, a grizzled former sergeant who had served alongside Jonathan, slammed his fist on the table, rattling the silverware. "This is an insult. We can't let this happen. We need to do something." "But what can we do?" replied Mike, a younger vet with haunted eyes. "The government doesn't care about us. They never have." The weight of despair hung heavily in the air, but it was then that a flicker of hope ignited within Tom. "I have an idea. We're not just going to sit here and let them forget him. We're going to honor him ourselves." As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and purple, Tom rallied the veterans. They began spreading the word, fueled by a shared sense of purpose. And as they spoke, whispers of another group reached their ears, bikers known as the Guardians of the Fallen. These men and women rode with a singular mission, to ensure that no soldier would be forgotten. Meanwhile, in a nearby garage, a group of bikers gathered, their laughter echoing off the walls. "Did you hear about that soldier?" One of them, a woman with tattoos snaking up her arms, asked. "They're saying the government's going to bury him without honors." "That's messed up," grunted Big Mike, a bear of a man whose heart was as big as his frame. "We can't let that happen. We need to ride." The decision was unanimous. The Guardians of the Fallen would ride into Maplewood, not just to pay their respects, but to demand justice for Jonathan Hayes. As the news spread, anticipation crackled in the air. The townspeople began to stir, some skeptical, others hopeful. "You really think they'll make a difference?" Lucy wondered aloud, her brow furrowed with concern. "They have to," Tom replied, determination shining in his eyes. "They're not just riders, they're a family. They understand what it means to fight for your brothers and sisters." On the day of Jonathan's funeral, the small church where the service was held overflowed with family and friends. But the atmosphere was marred by the absence of the honors he had earned. The local officials delivered their speeches, but the words felt hollow, echoing in the rafters without the weight they should have carried. Outside, the roar of engines interrupted the somber mood. One by one, the bikers rolled into town, their leather jackets glistening in the sunlight, each adorned with patches that proudly displayed their mission. Children rushed to the windows, eyes wide with wonder. "Look, Mom! Look at all the motorcycles!" Inside, the congregation turned to see the spectacle unfolding outside, shock and awe washing over the faces of those gathered. Tom stepped outside, his heart pounding in his chest. The sight of the bikers standing tall, their bikes gleaming like warriors ready for battle, sent a surge of pride through him. Big Mike stepped forward, his voice booming. "We are here to honor Private Jonathan Hayes. No soldier should ever be forgotten, and we will make sure the world knows his name." A chorus of cheers erupted from the crowd, igniting a spark of unity among the townspeople. The bikers lined the streets, their presence a powerful testament to the loyalty and respect that the military community held for one another. As the service proceeded, the bikers stood guard outside, a formidable wall of leather and steel. Their presence was a reminder that Jonathan's sacrifice would not go unnoticed. With every passing hour, more and more townsfolk gathered, drawn by the rumble of the engines and the promise of change. If this story is touching your heart, make sure to comment from where you are hearing this amazing story. The movement was gaining momentum. News outlets began to cover the event, showcasing the strong display of solidarity. Social media lit up with hashtags like #HonorJonathan and #BikersForVeterans. The story spread like wildfire, reaching hearts across the nation. In the days that followed, the atmosphere in Maplewood began to shift. The bikers became a symbol of hope, their ride sparking conversations about veterans' rights and recognition. Town meetings were held, and plans were drawn up to ensure that no soldier would ever be overlooked again. Jonathan Hayes, once forgotten, was now at the center of a movement that would change the way the country honored its heroes. The community, once shrouded in darkness, began to shine with the light of unity and respect, a testament to the power of solidarity and the unbreakable bonds of brotherhood. As the sun set on Maplewood, the bikers revved their engines, ready to ride once more, not just for Jonathan but for all the heroes who deserved to be remembered. The roar of their motorcycles echoed through the streets, a resounding declaration that they would not rest until every soldier was honored and every story told. As the community of Maplewood began to heal and unite around the memory of Private Jonathan Hayes, an unexpected twist unraveled the very fabric of the movement that had taken shape. Just days after the bikers had roared into town, a local newspaper published an article that would send shockwaves through both the biker community and the town itself. The headline read, "Local Hero's Secret Life Revealed, a Soldier with a Past." Curiosity gripped the townsfolk, and as they gathered around newsstands, the article painted a different picture of Jonathan. It spoke of his struggles with PTSD, his battles with addiction, and the deep isolation he had faced after returning from the war. The story revealed that Jonathan had often pushed away those who tried to help him, choosing instead to grapple with his demons alone. Tom, who had been a fierce advocate for honoring Jonathan, felt a pang of guilt as he read the article. Had they truly known the man who had fought alongside them? Had they overlooked the scars that he carried, believing he was simply a soldier who had returned home? The revelation prompted a wave of whispers among the veterans. "He wasn't just a hero, he was a human being with flaws," Mike murmured, struggling to reconcile the image he had of his friend with the reality that was emerging. As the news spread, some townspeople began to express their unease. "Do we really want to honor someone with such a troubled past?" one resident questioned, a frown etched on his face. "What does that say about us?" The camaraderie that had blossomed so quickly now faced an insidious divide. Big Mike, the imposing biker who had led the charge to honor Jonathan, clenched his fists as he listened to the murmurs of dissent. "This isn't just about Jonathan," he shouted, his voice resonating through the crowd. "This is about every soldier who has ever been cast aside, every person who has fought their battles in silence. We stand for them too." But even as he spoke, doubt crept into the minds of the bikers and the townspeople alike. The revelation forced everyone to confront their own hidden prejudices. Did they truly accept Jonathan as he was, flaws and all? Or had they only seen him as a soldier, a hero fit for tribute? Lucy, the waitress who had been one of the first to voice her support for honoring Jonathan, felt torn. "I wanted to believe he was perfect," she admitted to Tom one evening, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "But he wasn't. He was human just like the rest of us. Can we still honor him, even if he wasn't the hero we imagined?" Tom paused, the weight of her words sinking in. "I think that's what makes him a hero," he replied slowly. "He fought against more than just the enemy, he fought against himself. Maybe it's time we accept that our heroes are not infallible. They're just like us." Meanwhile, the bikers held an emergency meeting, the atmosphere charged with tension. Some argued passionately for continuing the movement, while others questioned whether they should distance themselves from Jonathan's complicated legacy. "What if this tarnishes our reputation?" one biker worried aloud. "What if people see us as glorifying someone who struggled with addiction?" Big Mike slammed his hand on the table, silencing the room. "Listen, we're not here to judge," he declared, his voice steady and fierce. "We're here to honor a man who fought for our freedom. His struggles don't erase his sacrifices. If anything, they make his fight even more significant. We need to stand together, for him and for ourselves." As the bikers debated, a young woman named Sarah, a newcomer to the Guardians of the Fallen, spoke up. "What if we use this moment to educate? To show that even heroes have their battles? We could create support systems for veterans facing similar issues. Let's make Jonathan's story about hope and resilience." rather than just about loss. Her words ignited a spark in the room. Slowly, the bikers began to nod in agreement, realizing that the movement could evolve beyond just honoring Jonathan. They could create a legacy that embraced the complexities of a soldier's life, highlighting both their triumphs and struggles. In the following days, the townspeople began to engage in conversations that had long been avoided. They organized town halls where veterans could speak openly about their experiences. As Jonathan's name became synonymous with both sacrifice and struggle, it brought forth stories of others who had faced similar demons. The movement transformed, blossoming into a campaign for mental health awareness and support for veterans. The bikers, once seen merely as a spectacle, now became advocates for change. They rode not just in honor of Jonathan, but to honor the countless others who had been marginalized and forgotten. The community's perception of Jonathan shifted, and instead of viewing him solely as a tragic figure, they began to see him as a symbol of resilience. He became a reminder that every soldier carries burdens beyond the battlefield, and that their sacrifices often extend far beyond what is visible. As the sun set on Maplewood, the bikers rode through the streets, their engines roaring with renewed purpose. They weren't just a group of riders, they were a movement, a force dedicated to ensuring that no soldier would be overlooked again. And in that ride, they honored not only Jonathan Hayes but every hero who had fought their battles in silence, reminding the world that true honor lies in acceptance, understanding, and solidarity. As the movement grew in Maplewood, the revelations about Private Jonathan Hayes began to resonate deeply within the community. The initial shock of his struggles had ignited conversations that many had avoided for too long. Town halls buzzed with stories of veterans who had faced similar demons, and the biker community shifted from being seen as merely a spectacle to becoming a vital source of support and advocacy. In the heart of the town, Lucy, the waitress who had been one of the first to champion Jonathan's cause, found her purpose. Inspired by the bikers' resolve, she organized a local support group for veterans grappling with PTSD and addiction. "We need to create a space where they can talk," she said passionately during one of the meetings. "Let's show them they're not alone, that their struggles matter just as much as their sacrifices." Meanwhile, Tom and Big Mike worked tirelessly to expand the Guardians of the Fallen's mission. They launched initiatives to educate the public about the challenges veterans face, aiming to dismantle the stigma surrounding mental health issues. "Jonathan's story isn't just about honor, it's about understanding," Tom proclaimed at a rally. "We're here to ensure that every soldier's truth is known, celebrated, and supported." As the bikers rode through town, their presence now a symbol of hope and resilience, they also brought stories from all corners of the nation. Other communities began reaching out, inspired by Maplewood's transformation. They shared their own struggles and triumphs, creating a nationwide network dedicated to uplifting the voices of veterans. The hashtags #HonorJonathan and #BikersForVeterans became rallying cries, echoing through social media and the hearts of many. But the real change began to take root when the town decided to erect a memorial in Jonathan's honor. This wouldn't be a typical monument, it would be a place of healing, a community center where veterans could gather, share their stories, and find the support they needed. Fundraising events organized by the bikers and townsfolk alike brought the community together in ways they had never experienced before. On the day of the memorial's groundbreaking, the atmosphere was electric. Bikers, veterans, families, and townspeople gathered, united in their purpose. As the sun shone brightly overhead, Tom stepped up to the podium. "Today we honor not just Jonathan, but every hero who has fought their battles in silence," he declared. "This center will be a testament to their struggles and triumphs, a safe haven where they can find strength in one another." The crowd erupted into cheers, and Lucy wiped away tears of joy as she watched the community come together. The bikers stood tall, their leather jackets glistening in the sunlight, a fierce reminder of the bond they shared with the veterans. "We will not forget," Big Mike added, his voice booming. "This is just the beginning. Let's keep the momentum going for Jonathan and for all our brothers and sisters who need us." As the first shovel broke ground, the sound echoed like a battle cry. It marked not only the start of a new chapter for Maplewood but also the dawn of a movement that would continue to grow and inspire. The bikers and townspeople stood together, united in their mission to ensure that no soldier would ever be forgotten again. As the weeks turned into months, the center opened its doors, becoming a beacon of hope for veterans in need. The community rallied around it, offering resources, counseling, and camaraderie. Stories of healing began to emerge, as veterans found solace in shared experiences and a renewed sense of purpose. One evening, as the sun set over Maplewood, Lucy stood outside the center, watching a group of veterans share laughter and stories. She felt a warmth in her heart, knowing that they had created something truly special. The legacy of Jonathan Hayes, once overshadowed by neglect, now shone brightly in the lives of those who came together to honor him. If this story is touching your heart, make sure to subscribe for more incredible stories like this one. The movement had transcended its original purpose, evolving into a platform for advocacy and change. Jonathan's story had become a powerful reminder that every soldier's life is multifaceted, deserving of recognition and compassion, regardless of the struggles they faced. As the bikers revved their engines for another ride, this time not just for Jonathan, but for every hero who had fought and struggled, they knew they were part of something greater. Their roar echoed through the streets, a proclamation that they would continue to fight for justice, understanding, and honor for all veterans. In the end, the town of Maplewood transformed. Not just in memory of a fallen soldier, but in the spirit of community, resilience, and love. They had turned tragedy into a powerful movement, reminding everyone that heroes come in all forms, and their stories, no matter how complicated, deserve to be told and celebrated.